Hello and welcome. Today we've got Melissa Redpill and we are going to be discussing military operation. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview, unless, of course, myself and Mel can decide to choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Melissa Redpill, thank you for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
I'm so glad to see you, Nicholas. It's just always so great. I'm so glad. Yes, so much is going on, and I got a chance to talk with someone today. I was thinking that we could talk about this military operation and show some of the Q posts because folks maybe have not seen this and they maybe don't know what's been going on behind the scenes. And so when they hear something out of Flynn or they hear something out of Linwood or whatever, then they or Patrick Byrne or whatever, they start to think, oh, well, this is a good guy and that's a bad guy. And maybe I'm just going to throw this out there. Maybe it's all part of this military operation. And so, if we're confused by, well, why are they saying this? Why do they look like they're enemies? The enemy is confused also. And so I think it's part of this confusion. And we're so close to the end of this battle, of this war. So that's what I wanted to talk about.
Well, General Flynn did say a while back that, he would never give away the military plan because he would be breaching his oath. I'm paraphrasing, okay?
Right.
That's not what they do. And they always give out disinformation to confuse the enemy. And then when we saw him on Doug Billings and said, oh, we are not under a military operation. There is no plan, Obviously, he's not going to tell us if there was. He's a 4-star general.
Exactly.
But what do you think?
He's so unassuming. You've not been to the States, so you haven't, I don't guess, had a chance to meet him. But he just looks like, someone who's in your family, like your uncle. You would never, he doesn't wear the fancy stars and all that. And so you don't realize he is always on it as far as working this military operation. And and I was going to show a little clip of where Mike Rogers shows, that he's always right on the front lines. And I'll tell you this, that when he's been attacked like he has been, that tells you right there's something that they hate him for a reason. And it talks about, that on the board, it says, who knows where the bodies are buried? And that was Flynn, that he knows this. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to call out anybody. Some people are like, oh, well, if you're for Flynn, then you're against Flynn. And I'm not, that's not what it's about. And I think that that's where we get tangled up and realize it's to confuse the enemy. So not to worry.
Okay.
Ready for me to share the screen?
Absolutely. I think you can.
Okay. All right. I said I did. Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I want to show several. Oops, that's the wrong one. All right. So yeah, this is my channel for those who are new, who aren't familiar with me. I have 600 videos now over there on how this is biblical. I'm going to show you later on the Bethlehem Star. So we're going to go speedy, quick. But and if you're new to Q, there's something that just came out the other day from Dan Scavino.
Melissa, we won't say that letter on here, yeah, on YouTube. But we'll say 17, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry, I hope I didn't already mess it up. All right. Yes, but you'll see this amazing letter that comes through the clouds, and really cool. So I think it's. Let's see. I'll mute it, but then you have to watch very closely. Right up here, all of a sudden, a letter starts to appear. Did you see it?
What letter was that? Do you want to explain to us what you saw?
The number 17, the 17th letter. Don't make me say it, Nick.
No, 17's fine.
I'm not good about that.
You mean the letter?
The letter, the 17th letter of the alphabet appears. And of course, that's so funny. I've been a part of this movement since November 2017. And, things that I would completely miss, these anons are so on it. They call themselves autists because they catch so much. And it's so funny because on the video, especially on your phone, you see it even more, that it's like trying to draw your attention away to this green area by the flag. But they didn't get drawn away. They noticed, and this is clearly the 17th letter of the alphabet. So
Dan Scavino,
and he posted that just a couple of days ago. So for those of us who've been in this movement, we've seen these kinds of things so many times, over and over and over, so that it's really beyond any shadow of a doubt. It's for years, it's been beyond, it's no way. It's just a coincidence. There's no way. This is no doubt a military operation. And so when someone comes up and they diss us about it, or say, Flynn is not part of this, we know better. It's just, just like, well, I'm not going to even say the word, but there's certain things that we know. Now I'm scared about anything I'm going to say. All right, so I'm going to play it again and watch very closely at the top. You see it?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then it just fades away, and you would never, necessarily notice it unless you were I didn't mean to have this music. You see it? So yeah, that was a nice little, encouragement for us that are and whether you're a follower of that or not, the point is just to be encouraged that this is a military operation and that we are in here fighting and we're going to win. Did you get a chance to see President Trump with him saying, I'm coming back?
No, when was this?
Oh my goodness. This was at the, he's going on this tour, and I'm actually going to go on Friday to the tour. Saturday in Houston. So I'm going to get to see him. And so he was at one in, I think, Sunrise, Florida, and he was playing this song, and it was saying something about it. I can't remember the exact words of the song, but basically just say, I'm coming. Like, don't worry, I'm coming back, in other words. So that was encouraging.
Well, when was this? Which day?
Oh, this was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't even know what day it was in Sunrise, Florida.
But was it last week? Was it 2 weeks ago? When was that?
It was no, just this last week. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. I thought you would have seen that. Let me see. I can try to pull it up, but maybe you can look for it while I'm showing the next thing. Maybe if you can look for it on your screen, but it's on my Telegram. My Telegram is, all my links are on here. Telegram right here, freedomforce.live. My Telegram is Freedom Force Battalion, and all the links, BitChute and Rumble, if you want to try to grab that. But yeah, he's up there. You know how he does the dance, and so he's basically letting everybody know he's coming back. So not to worry. Who knows what day? And actually, I'm glad you mentioned that, because they also brought up about this Q post. Oh gosh, I just said it. Sorry.
Okay, the 17 post, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, that it was talking about Christmas, and I've got to show you that one. That so many military operations happen during Christmas, and so there was several posts about that on the board. So it makes you wonder: is something going to happen this Christmas? Sure, would be great.
It's funny you say that, because Donald Trump says that we're going to have a great Christmas, but we just don't know which Christmas he was referring to.
Right. Exactly. I'm ready for the great Christmas. So maybe it's this Christmas. It just to know that on the boards, it talked about Christmas and there being big military operations on Christmas. So is it going to be on Christmas that we have some big thing happen? We'll see.
Or will it be this Christmas? Will it be next Christmas? I mean, Donald Trump said it, so he means, he's trying to tell us something. Is it going to be a reset? Is it going to be a revaluation?
Is it going to be arrests? And as we've heard on the boards also, it can't go slow. It's going to have to be something that goes fast. Okay. So yeah, I'll before we finish, I'll try to go pull those, but yeah, so you guys can see those.
Yeah,
it was very, very fun. All right. But I wanted you to see, when you search the word Rogers on here, and you might not be familiar, some of your listeners might not be familiar with Admiral Rogers, but I'm going to show you a picture of him right here. This is Admiral Rogers, and he is literally is going to go down in history as one of the greatest patriots ever. And he was head of the NSA. And so he was able to, and it shows when you search this word, again, it's very hard to catch up on, all these 5,000 posts. But for those of us who've been in part of it for all this time, it was kind of a live thing, but you can still go back and search a word on this site right here. The 17th letter, agg.news. And so I'm just going to show you a couple of them this was happening live. So for example, here's one that was August 2018, and it says, important takeaway, we've had the ball the entire time. Think offense. Why did POTUS move his entire operation out of TT, which is Trump Tower, the day after Admiral Rogers' skiff, okay, the secure, military room that they have, this skiff meeting? The world is watching, the world is here, eyes on. Okay, so basically what he found out was that they were spying on President Trump in Trump Tower. So that's when he moved out of Trump Tower. And it's because Admiral Rogers went over and told him that was happening.
Right.
So way back in the day, way back in 2008, this was posted on 2018, but basically that happened just before he took office in 2017, right? So I just want you guys everyone who's watching, to know what an amazing patriot, because a lot of folks maybe aren't even familiar with who he is. But so when you read here, this is number 1981. It talks about, what if a paper trail exists? PDB via no such agency. No such agency stands for the three letters that I just told you that he was the head of. Hussein made aware with no action. Why did POTUS refuse select PDB? Is this like to get the bulletins, the briefings, the assessments of the danger during his transition? Because he knew that it was baloney, that everything that they were telling him was just baloney, and that they were just using it to try to control him. Who knew? Threat assessment. Admiral Rogers? ? Flynn ? Okay, so these people have known, and they've been part of this thing, it appears, for many, many years, potentially 20 years, because they've been so entrenched. And of course, we just jumped in, just a few years ago. But this is a huge military operation. And I'm going to show you something that Patrick Burns said that is so cool. So again, if I talk about these people and you're like, oh, well, I don't trust this person or that person, I think that we can, whether you do or whether you don't, just to listen to that person and see what clues you can glean from it. And I will say this, that whenever there's any post about any of them, Lynn or Flynn or any of these, the trolls come out in force. They want to confuse us about this. So they don't really want us looking. They want us to just pretend like this is not important. All right, or just lie about it. So so just reading through these things, you'll start to realize, hey, something bigger is going on, and that Rogers played a key role in this. So AG and Rogers had a meeting, Durham and Rogers meeting. Why did Rogers retire? Why did Rogers visit the POTUS at the Trump Tower without authorization? He wasn't even invited to go, and he just appeared. I mean, that's just not protocol. That's not normal. Shortly after this skip was installed, why did the select former ABC directors call for the removal of Rogers? Because he was going to tell what they were doing. That's why he already had told the president what they were doing. Why did POTUS move his transition command center, the base of operations, from Trump Tower the very next day? So this one right here is really interesting. I would really encourage people to go and look at 2998, because this one is actually a post from an anon, just a regular person like us, who's starting to dig and say, well, what about, they start to connect these dots. And so he starts telling what he thinks is possibly happening. And he gets a response from 17 later on, farther down, says something you should explore further. Impressive, very impressive. He was impressed by this person's understanding of this. So I'm going to talk quickly about the keystone. And if you've been familiar with that, it's talked about that this is, what holds all this cabal together. And if you remove this keystone, everything falls. And basically what it's basically saying here is it's the ability to have this intel. When they can spy on us, they have control. When we, on the other hand, can spy on them and they don't have the ability to spy on us back, that is game over.
Mhm.
And so when it talks about, the white hats are in control, that's what it's talking about. Like this terrible tornado, I guess you probably heard about it, the terrible tornado that was in across like 6 states. It was awful. And it was no doubt in my mind, this is a manufactured storm.
Right. Absolutely.
There's just no way. There's no way. And so, just like we had Freezilla here, which was so horrible, and it was no doubt it was manufactured. So people on my comments are like, well, aren't patriots in control? Aren't the white hats in control? It's a real war, but we're in control of the intel. We're in control of, we have the presidency because President Trump is still there. If I'm saying that right, I'm probably going to get this video banned. Right. So that's how we're in control, but it's a real war. Think about planes, like a Star Wars thing where we got these battles going on overhead, we're in a real war. And so anyway, so I'll just read a little bit of that. If that sounds good to you for about the Keystone.
Absolutely.
Okay. So here it is. Like I said, on this number 30, what did I just say? 2998. All right. So he's talking about these bullets or bombs or missiles, but it's not really about physical bullets or bombs or missiles that are coming, but it's about this malware. Okay. Think of this, like when you already know this, that most of us do, that when you install Messenger or Facebook on your phone, you can delete it all day long, but it's got the malware on there still that is able to spy on you.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much the phones come already with stuff on there that can spy on you.
Right.
So it's already there, and you can't even get it off of there. By the way, I just got a new car, a new used car, whatever, new to me car. And have you seen the driver assist stuff that's on the cars now?
Oh, I don't use them.
I hate it.
I did that once to assist my parking, and the wheel hit the curb. I thought, I'm doing this myself.
Never mind.
I'm gonna improve my driving skills.
Right. I've been driving a long time. I do not need the car to be my mama. I don't need it to tell me how to drive. I've been driving a long time. Anyway, so I could not figure out how to get it to turn off, and I was pushing the wrong button. Long story, but yeah, just the fact that they can do that when they can control your phone, now they can control your car. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for a car that doesn't have that on there. I want to trade that thing in because, like the other day, it's like driving me toward the 18-wheeler. I'm like, stop. It's crazy. You know what? I wouldn't put it past these people to do anything. Anyway, all right. So back to this. But back to this malware. So it's already on your phone and it's on all this stuff. Well, who is controlling it? And what they're saying is, what this guy's premise is that white hats are. The CIA malware does not explode on impact, but rather permanently infests its target. In order to infect target's device, copies of the malware must be placed on the target's devices, giving physical possession of the malware to the target. To exfiltrate data back to the CIA or to await further instructions, the malware must communicate with the CIA command and control systems placed on internet-connected servers. But such servers are typically not approved to hold classified information. So CIA command and control systems are also made unclassified. That's from Vault 7. Links below that direct you to user forums on how to not leave a digital fingerprint that can be associated with the CIA and how to construct an imitation fingerprint. Using Facebook as their fingerprint, they only are able to install malware on people's phones, tablets, and computers, which relay all data back to the central server using Hive. All right. So then a little farther, he says, I noticed the enormous amounts of comparisons between the packets of data and bombs. I don't know why. Probably just autistic. I looked back at the map on March 5th, 2019, and an anon posted how London police called them bombs, not suspicious packages. And this is in post 2974, it's called fire. Okay, so fire is a key word, short for angel fire. Angel Fire is an implant comprised of 5 components: Solar Time, Wolf Creek, Keystone, Bad MFS, and the Windows Transitory File System. But they changed Keystone, it was previously Magic Wand. They changed it to Keystone. And so that's what this Keystone is. It's a part of this implant, Wolf Creek implant, and responsible for starting malicious user applications. Loaded implants never touch the file system, so there's very little forensic evidence that the process was ever run. This makes this post much easier to understand. We won't telegraph our moves to the enemy. We will, however, light a fire, as an angel fire, to flush them out. So they're controlling the intel. And the last part that is really the key to it, he's saying that they're using angel fire to predict the deep state's moves without being detected. How in the world would we bring down this cabal that's infiltrated into everywhere? And it's going to have to be where we flush them out, where we know everything, every move that they're making, because we're controlling. We know exactly what they're tweeting, emailing, texting, all of that. Okay, so this is really cool. And so this is why Admiral Rogers is so important, because he gave us the power to run the intel. Mm-hmm. Amazing. In the user files, it says a key must be used to open this Magic Wand Keystone. In this post 270, he says that Admiral Rogers of the NSA, WNW is like wizards and warlocks, as far as like these people at the top intel people.
Right.
Plus POTUS and the U.S. military says apply the Keystone. Paint this picture in post 167. It says POTUS open the door of all doors. Expand your thinking. What is this Keystone? This could be confirmation bias, but based off what we just read, we can now infer that who was saying Trump gave Admiral Rogers permission to use the Keystone and activate malware in order to collect data on the deep state. So there you go. So it's a wizard and warlocks. So this is who, for those who don't know, this is Mike Rogers. And so on this video, he's talking about how Flynn is going. He's always on the front lines, and he's taking so much of the flak, so much of the enemy fire, because he's right there on the front. And we've already seen that because they tried so hard to destroy him. So I was going to play a little snippet of that. A-okay?
Absolutely, yeah. We need the volume up, I think.
Well, why it's not playing? Oh, here it is.
It is just amazing, the family that Mike Flynn comes from. He is about leading from the front. He is about taking the hard jobs, and he is about driving change. Now, that is not an easy thing to do, either for him or for his family. And it is always out there about being in front. The thing I always respected the most about Mike is he's not about what was. He is always about what will be, what should be, what must be. And he has dedicated his professional life to that idea. And I have watched it firsthand in my career. I have benefited from it firsthand in my career. You will run across individuals and you will say to yourself, that guy is amazing. And early on when I met Mike, I thought to myself, that guy is amazing. And every time in every one of those positions, I only speak for me, I was always glad to think to myself, I'm getting to do this with Mike Flynn. And in fact, I want to very publicly thank Mike Flynn, because I wouldn't be where I am today if he hadn't pushed.
All right, well, I'll post the rest of it on to my freedomforce.live, but that tells you right there, he's always out in front, and this is part of that flak, is that they were going to pull out every stop because they know that he knows all this intel, as well as Mike Rogers. Now, Mike Rogers has kind of taken a back seat so that people don't necessarily watch, know what he's doing, but Flynn is right there in the front. And just so you know, this was on this video of crushing serpents. I love this video. And he says at the end, our famous, can I say where we go? One?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well,
I can say that. Okay. Where we go one, we go all, which is our, so we took this oath. For those of you who were not part of that back in the day, we took this oath saying that we will, we swore allegiance to protect and defend our Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. we all took this oath. And he was coming out on the post saying for us to all take this oath. And then at the end, it says, where we go one, we go all. Check it out.
Where we go one, we go all.
Where we go one, we go all.
God bless America.
God bless America.
I love that. So that's what we're doing. And yeah, I don't think if they counted up all the numbers, it totaled up to 17. That was kind of cool. But yeah, so that's what we're up to. And so it's not about, there's all these people I've named: Rogers, Flynn, Byrne, Linwood, all these are on the front lines. And yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there, like you were saying, Nicholas. So this was a video. I just got to show you this too. So Patrick Byrne was, I got to meet him when I went to San Antonio, and I just literally just talked with him. I'll have to tell you what the conversation was. I had just a little bit of time with him. I just said, I have something very important to tell you about how I know from the Bible that we're going to win. And he says, I want to hear it. And he sat down and he just listened specifically to me. And I was so glad to get to share with him just a very, what is, Lord has given my charge to do, to let everybody know how this is biblical. And just like the Bethlehem star, we've seen this sign in the heavens that proves that this is no doubt going to happen. He got it like that. I've talked to a lot of people about this, and I've not met anyone who was so quick to understand it, to process it. Right. Is extremely, extremely intelligent. But again, all these people are so unassuming. They don't, wear the bow tie and, all the making you think that they're so smart, but he's very smart. So he was asked by Arlen Specter, our former U.S. Senator, to be part of this military operation. And here's where he tells the story.
Ultimate bulwark against corruption. And their mandate to investigate corruption transcends everything in government. And eventually they called me to a room in Washington, and there were 7 senators, and that's what they looked like. But I'm going to be removing the smiley faces in a minute. And they said, we think you're right. This crazy ceremony happened where 7 senators, most from the Senate Judiciary Committee, one was not, Democrat and Republican. And when I walked in, they said, be prepared for the strangest meeting in your life. We think you're right. We think you're right. Something's taking over Washington, D.C., some form of corruption, and we can't stop it. It's our job to stop it. We can't stop it. And both parties agree. And Patrick, tomorrow, this has not been done since World War II, but in World War II, an American businessman, we were concerned about German sympathizers in the US government, and an American businessman was asked to help flush them out, and he was given a letter to do so. And we're gonna be with the president tomorrow night, and we're presenting this letter, and this is gonna sit the rest of your life in a safe in Washington. And the letter says, something that I couldn't even touch it, they held it. With my hands behind my back, 7 senators around me talking. And it said, the first paragraph said something about, on Senate Judiciary Stationery, something about systemic corruption infiltrating the federal institutions of our nation's government. And the second paragraph said something along this line. The Senate Committee on the Judiciary requests that Patrick Byrne be afforded extraordinary latitude under the laws of the United States of America to investigate and disrupt corruption within the federal government. Well, I'll never forget this. They literally, it's one of 2 conversations in my life I was completely flabbergasted. When I finished, they said, Chairman Specter said, now this is not a pardon. Water, please. This is not a pardon. You can't go kill anybody. But short of that, this is word for word. He said, thank you. He said, short of that, this is going to make it extremely unlikely any federal prosecutor is going to go after you, ever going to go after you. And you're going to do this for us, and the Republic needs you to do this. And they basically said, this is what no one was asking me if I would do that. Looking back, it was a really funny conversation. They got that I was a little different. And they said, I'm not married. I was in love with a woman. I was even going to marry them. I broke off with her, and I just made this my life. It's been 15 years and $52 million. And we're almost there. We're almost there. We almost got these guys.
15 years, 52 million. These people, talk numbers I can't even fathom, but that he's devoted his life to doing this. And so I think it's worth, listening and considering what these people are having to say. And he says, we almost got them.
Right.
We're almost there. So I want everyone to be encouraged. Maybe Christmas, maybe this Christmas. I hope so.
When did you say this was taken?
This was just this past weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This was the one, it was posted and this is his real channel. Okay. This is dated December 11th. This is his real channel, Patrick Byrne. His Telegram is Patrick M. Byrne, and he posted that. So I wanted to hear what he had to say. There's more. I would encourage you to watch the whole thing. He shows how deep the deep state is, and it's so interesting because he's coming on here now. What have I done? Okay, he's coming on here now, telling more than. I mean, I would not expect him to say these things in a public forum where he's being videotaped. Mm-hmm. So for him to say these things seems very interesting, and as if we're really close to the end of this battle, this war. So anyway, I think it's very encouraging. What he said, we're almost finished. That he's been in here fighting. You know how we feel. We're like, when is this going to be done? Is this taking so long? What's the problem here? And we've been only in it for 4 years. Imagine having been in it for 15, maybe 20 years. Like these people, and giving up your life. And he was talking earlier about all the surgeries he's had. It's as if they've attacked him and his health so much, right. Which wouldn't be that surprising. Anyway, so I definitely encourage you to watch that. I was thinking in the future, if ever you've got people who are like, okay, this lady's throwing out these concepts. If people want to ask questions on your channel and that you can pose to me whenever we get together, I would try my hardest to answer them. Maybe you could email them to me and I'll do the research and try to find out the answer to the questions. Just so they know, I've been teaching God's word for 40 years and I've been a missionary full time for like the past 10 years, and now doing this and now having the bestseller book about end times. And truly, it's honest to goodness, it's the decode of Revelation. I look like I'm just a regular lady, and I don't have a lot of credentials or whatever. And I think that's what's so cool is God's using just regular people like us to do, things that maybe what your research for many years or my research or his, all of us using our own particular skill set and our experiences and our gifts to be able to work together to make this happen. But yeah, that this is where it's the end times for them. And we're headed to 1,000 years of peace. So if people are like, okay, if they read it or whatever, they're like, okay, what is, explain this further or whatever. I have 600 videos on freedomforce.live. But I did a video this past week. I started another YouTube channel. And I'm hoping I'm going to try to be good. I'm not going to do anything and get blasted on that one. But it's called This is Biblical. And the very first video I did on it, this is the only one I've done so far, is about the Bethlehem Star. And I thought this would be a great opportunity for us to do this because this is exactly what the wise men saw all those years ago. And every time we have Christmas, we talk about the Bethlehem Star. So mm-hmm. This is basically it. Go ahead.
No, I was just nodding like, okay.
Yes, it's so cool. I just love how these things are in the heavens for us if we just look up and see them. And I use this program called Stellarium, and you can download it. I think it's free. STELLAR, like stellar, IUM.org. And so you can look at it for yourself and not just take my word for it, but make sure that you put it in azimuthal mount, everybody. If in case you go on there, AZIUMUTHAL, azimuthal mount, and that will help it to for you to be able to see the tracks of the stars. And that's what, I was never told in school. Most people were not, but now that I know how to recognize the constellations, I see Jupiter and Saturn and Mars and Mercury and Venus doing loops in the heavens. And it's just so cool. And I'm going to show you one. This is just before Jesus was born. This is Jupiter right here. And you'll see that it starts to come across and it's going to head straight toward Regulus. Let me see if I can move it a little bit faster. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so I've got the little mark on it, and you're going to see it's going to move toward Regulus. Well, Regulus is the regal star, or like the royal star of Leo, which is the king constellation. So it's got a little line on it. I'm tracing the star. You'll see it. You'll see the line, and it's going straight toward Regulus. And notice here, it's hard to see on the screen. Let's see. Okay, there. On September 11th, you'll see that it appears that Regulus and Jupiter conjoin. Okay, from our vantage point, it looks like they're touching. And so that was actually on the day of the Lord's conception. Jesus was conceived September 11th. That's why they say 9/11 is emergency, emergency. We don't want this Christ infiltrating the earth. We want the demons, controlling the earth. We don't want the Christ to enter the earth. So that was on the September 11th. Now it's going to pass on by, and it's going to turn around, and it's going to do a loop. Let me move it a little bit. You'll see there. You see it doing this loop in the heavens. How cool is that? Isn't that amazing? This is happening all the time. And this is basically crowning Regulus, as if to crown Christ as the king of the earth. Okay. And then it's going to finish its loop. And then Venus is going to come along. If you notice in the night sky, look, you can get a sky view app, and you can see the stars. Notice Venus is coming up on the right. Let me just tell you real quick. If you get the Skyview app and you point it to Venus, you'll see that it is so bright. The two brightest stars are Venus and Regulus. Even on, nights that are cloudy, a lot of times you can still see, I said that wrong, Venus and Jupiter. Those are the two brightest ones. So when those two are conjoined right next to each other, it is extremely bright. And that's what made the Bethlehem star on the day of Christ's birth. All right, so here comes Venus right here and headed straight toward Jupiter, okay? And so when the wise men left the palace, if you notice, I think it's in Matthew 2, it says that the star moved. Well, that's what they're seeing. That's exactly what they were seeing all those years ago, that Venus is moving toward Jupiter, and that's how they knew to go to Bethlehem, where to go. Check it out. Let me see if I can get it to move. I'm talking. All right, come on. Uh-oh. Hang on. Okay, there we go. There you go. And you see that it conjoined right there. That is the Bethlehem star right there, with Venus and Jupiter conjoined after there was this loop. And I go into on the video how the wise men knew that, because, yes, this is happening in the heavens, but how would they know the significance? Well, Daniel was told that there would be 7 times there would be a 70, and long story, but the video goes into it. But basically, with the whole orbit, let's call it, of Jupiter is called a 70. And there would be 7 of these. So they had to pass this down from Daniel's generation to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, all the way to the 7th generation. And they did. Whereas the people in Jerusalem were asleep. They didn't even know. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But these people passed this down. I find that amazing that they would be able to pass that down from generation to generation. I don't even know if I can get someone to pass something tomorrow, right? Much less 7 generations into the future. But Daniel had saved their lives, and they knew, plus when God's putting something in your heart, just like with us, wild horses can't stop us, right? Mm-hmm. When there's something that God's putting on our heart. So I wanted you to see that, as well as this really cool thing. I'm doing another book. I'm so excited about everything I'm reading in the Old Testament that I had never seen before. I never realized this before. And now I know who our enemy is. And it's like I have the what did you call that stone? Whatever that you can figure out the code to decode the Old Testament. Anyway, but here's a verse that talks about the woman in labor giving birth. Now, at first it sounds like it's talking about Mary. And in one sense it is, but I think there's a double meaning, and it's talking about what's going to happen now, and that we're living in this day. And that's what I'm, always so, excited to share this amazing information, that we're living in the day when our enemies are going to be destroyed. There's just no doubt about it. This is biblical. So this is what I've shown you many times. And for those who haven't seen it, this is the sign of the Son of Man that happened September 23rd, 2017. This is basically the kickoff to this Battle of Armageddon. And it's the woman, which is Virgo, which is all of God's people. And it could be people, all over the world. Maybe they're Hindu, maybe they're Buddhist, maybe they're whatever. They all just in their hearts, they're just trying to do what's right. And they want to fight to protect kids and that kind of thing. Anyway, so the woman clothed with the sun, as you see, the sun's right here and the moon is under her feet and she has 12 stars on her head and she's in labor to be delivered. Now, many times in the Old Testament talks about this woman in labor, the woman in labor. If you like do a keyword search, you're like, wow, that's kind of a weird thing. And they'll be panic stricken when it's the woman in labor. It's just such a weird thing. Why would someone be in panic because there's a woman in labor? It's because it's pointing us to this sign in the heavens that is specifically in Revelation chapter 12. But in Micah, it says a ruler of Israel whose origins are in the distant past will come from you on my behalf. And the people of Israel will be abandoned to their enemies until the woman in labor gives birth. This is a prophecy of we've had these people basically ruling over us to basically, giving us the jab and all this kind of stuff for all these years, stealing from us and all, causing wars and making money off of our suffering for all these years until this moment when the woman in labor gives birth, this sign right here.
So who do you think the woman? Who do you think the woman is giving birth then?
Well, okay, so Virgo, and I'm so glad you asked that. On my freedomforce.live, I have a whole video series called Biblical Astronomy. So you can look at what each of the constellations represents. So Virgo represents God's people. Okay. Virgo represents, and someone could say, oh, well, this is a picture of Mary. And yes, no doubt, Mary gave birth to Christ, no doubt. Okay. But for now, the fulfillment of it is that all of those who are like Mary, who just are good people, just nice, freedom loving, non-Satan worshiping people, are Virgo, and that we all want to have a place of freedom and love and light and joy and peace and all the good things, right? And that is Virgo. Virgo represents the people who love goodness and God and light and righteousness. So yeah, that's what it is. That this is so when it says there's a woman that's giving birth, if there was a loop that happened with that same loop I was showing you before, happened in her womb as if she's giving birth. And it's that was Jupiter, which is the Christ star. And it started on the day President Trump was elected. Absolutely. Right. Amazing. So, but this is that's a beautiful passage that you might, I've read this, but I didn't have all of the pieces of the puzzle to put it together like I now do, where it talks about here that will be abandoned to our enemies until this thing happens in the heavens. The woman in labor gives birth until that sign happens in the heavens. And you're like, well, why did the Lord abandon us? That sounds so horrible. Why would he do that? And the reason for that, and I go into this more in other videos, but is that our ancestors, the Israelites, got involved in this same stuff. They did this evil Baal stuff and Moloch and all of that. It's in the history books. It's clear that they were doing that. They intermarried with some of the people who were doing that, and they just started to participate in some of these evil things. And they had to be scattered. It talks about them being scattered, and they're scattered all over Europe, all over Russia, all over India, all over America, all over the world. And I have videos on it called The Lost Tribes of Israel. It's absolutely amazing. That's really what the truth is about Israel. It's not just one little group of people in a place in the Middle East. But yeah, so we have been, and the reason is because now we are horrified at this. We don't want to participate in this. We will fight like crazy and put ourselves at risk and, go through all kinds of grief to put a stop to this. And that's what it took for, all these years to get that rooted out of us. And people are like, oh, well, humanity's evil and God is mad at them. No, he's not angry with us. He's trying to rescue us. He is rescuing us. And it's because he knows that we are ready to not have a world like this. Mm-hmm. We're not playing with any of this. So anyway, the last quick thing is that this passage in Zephaniah, nobody reads Zephaniah ever, but look at this beautiful promise. It says, at last your troubles will be over. You will never again fear disaster. I had just read this, and literally that night was when the tornadoes happened. I was like, oh my Lord, I'm so ready for there to be no more disasters that are controlled by these evil creeps, right? On that day, the announcement to Jerusalem will be, cheer up, don't be afraid. The Lord your God is living among you. He is a mighty Savior. He'll take delight in you with gladness. With his love, he will calm all your fears. He'll rejoice over you with joyful songs. I'll gather those who mourn. You'll be disgraced no more. And I will deal severely with all who have oppressed you. I will save the weak and helpless ones. I will bring together those who were chased away. I'll give glory and fame to my former exiles wherever they've been mocked and shamed. On that day, I will gather you together and bring you home again. I will give you a good name, a name of distinction among all the nations of the earth, as I restore your fortunes before their very eyes. That's the goal right there, bro. That's the goal. That's the silver, the Gesara. I, the Lord, has spoken. This is the promise all throughout. And I just didn't understand, but now I do. It's just so exciting to see. This is the promise. There's no doubt about it. So there you go.
Well, Melissa Redpill, that was really amazing. Thank you so much. That was lovely.
I enjoy it. I just love, like, I can't wait to ever always get together with you to share all the good things that I'm uncovering. So.
Absolutely. How about the financial stuff with the end of this year and the military operation? What do you think about the financial side?
You tell me. What do you think? You probably do more research on that specifically than I do. Tell me.
Well, I've heard that the dinar might revalue, or we might have a reset or something. I don't know. I don't know. I just listen to what people say, but that's what I'm hearing. But again, I've heard a lot of things that we're still waiting on. So like General Flynn says, he puts out disinformation to confuse the enemy, right? Right.
You know? But the promise is, no doubt we're going to win. And I really like Patrick saying that we almost got them beat. So
absolutely. Well,
maybe Christmas. That's what I want for Christmas. That's the only thing I want for Christmas.
Absolutely. Well, Melissa, it's been an absolute honor to have you. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Don't forget to go on freedomforce.live. And I hope you guys enjoy all of the research that's on there. freedomforce.live, and join all of our social media. And I will see you there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. And we'll speak again very soon. God bless you.
All right. Thanks, bro. Love you. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.